Today I'm ranking Liverpool's best signings from the 2010s decade. We've got brilliant business, decent signing, he did a job, subpar and a waste of time. I think a lot of these might speak for themselves, maybe a face or a name we don't recognise here. I think you can kind of conclude that they never really did too much for the club. With that being said, there's also some big names here that everyone will recognise, and I feel like they've won every trophy there is, whether it be Premier League, Champions League. Naturally they're going to pick themselves, but let's get into it. First I can see is Alisson Becker. I think brilliant business. We paid a lot of money for him at the time, but arguably he's the best keeper in the world right now. Top 2, top 3 at least. We did break the record for a goalkeeper at the time, but then Chelsea beat it straight after when they signed Kepa. But yeah, what a player he is, and even with the price tag, given the trophies he's won and how he's transformed the team, that's brilliant business. Let's chuck again. Andy Robertson, price we paid, can't argue with that. I feel like a lot of these players from this generation are all going to be going into brilliant business. Roberto Firmino, club legend, just left now, but again, scores some crucial goals at crucial moments. Not probably everyone's standout player, not the best in the eye, but in terms of a free transfer, gonna have to chuck James Milner in there. You know, what a club player he is. Another one, free transfer, won everything there is. Crucial part in the Champions League final, got the assist for the second goal. Yeah, another one, probably that's going to be debated, Jordan Henderson. He's lifted every trophy there is for the club, broken a lot of records as Liverpool captain there. Again, probably not everyone's favourite player, but considering the price tag and what he's gone on to win, the history he's made, he's kind of always been in and around the team, whether it be on the pitch or I guess just the leadership role behind the scenes that maybe we don't see as much of. I'm going to have to put him in brilliant business. Another one, you know, this guy speaks for himself, Luis Suarez, get him in there. You know, the season he had at Liverpool 13-14, where he equalled, I believe, the goals record in a season, which has now been beaten by Haaland and even Mo Salah before that. What a player he was, individual campaign. You know, a lot of people might vote him the best ever January signing. Who else can I see that I can just chuck straight in there? A few more players here that are off the screen. Here's a big one. Mo Salah, I think we only paid 30 million for him, and yeah, things he's gone on to achieve, broken every Liverpool record there is, even Premier League records, he's absolutely stacked full of them. Arguably the best player in the league for a few seasons there, the likes of him, Harry Kane, Kevin De Bruyne. I'm chucking my guy Sadio Mane in there, around the same price tag, and again, you can't argue with that. It was always a toss-up between him and Salah in terms of who you'd rather. Salah maybe just a bit more consistent in terms of goals. I guess a big thing, you want to look at price tag as well, but you know, I'd pay 75 million again for Van Dijk, given what he's done to the team. Come in and solidified a defence that was extremely shaky, kept leaking goals. Top 3 Ballon d'Or votes, only behind Messi and Ronaldo. Player of the Year award. You know, he's got everything to his name. Came under a lot of criticism and a lot of pressure there with price tag 75 mil, but it's certainly worth it when you come away with what he's got. Maybe just the fact that in business itself, away from football, you have to put Philippe Coutinho in there. The price we bought him for, paid around 8 million euros, over 140 we sold him for, so no one can say that's bad business. That's absolutely brilliant. Gee, I don't know whether to put Fabinho in there. You know what, it's hard because obviously if you've got any free transfers and they do okay, immediately you think brilliant business. I think you might have to put Shaqiri in that category. Obviously, in terms of career at Liverpool and final product, he probably doesn't quite compete with those other guys. But again, if we're talking in terms of business, how much money we've spent, he's definitely in there. Looking at Gini Wijnaldum, he kind of left a bit of a sour taste the way he kind of left and didn't want to stay. He kind of probably felt he was going on to bigger and better things, going to PSG, and it didn't work out for him. He obviously came at a time that was kind of the golden period for Liverpool. You know, the Premier League, Champions League, there to his name. We signed him for about 25 million. I guess even just those goals, you know, in the semi-final against Barcelona, comes on as a sub, gets those 2 goals. Yeah, I feel like I'm just going to stack the team full of them. Maybe this guy might be the last player I put in this category, but I'll probably Daniel Sturridge, just for the time he had. You know, for a while they would have said he was our best player. Obviously after Suarez left, he was kind of leading the line, very unfortunate with injuries. And then maybe once Klopp came in, maybe didn't quite fit the system. But I think he's got a pretty decent Liverpool legacy there. Didn't pay too much for him, as well as some of the highlights, the goals he scored. Just think he was a great player for the club. So let's move on. I feel there's maybe a few players here with a bad reputation that, you know, subpar and waste of time, getting quite harsh a category there. Oh, maybe Lallana. Oh, where do I put Lallana in there? You know, Lallana's I think he's in the same category as Sturridge. If I'm putting Sturridge in there, you're gonna have to put Lallana in there as well. He was voted England's best player of the year a few years ago. He was certainly Klopp's main man in terms of leading the press. First name on the team sheet when he was fit at times, and then he kind of probably fell out of favour there. But what a player he is, and again, I keep saying it, but if you can sign a player and he comes to the club and wins every trophy, I think he's just missed out on the FA Cup that we won recently. But He's got the big ones to his name, and he's played an integral part in that as well. Sorry, again, there's probably one final name. There's Joe Gomez and there's Fabinho. I don't know whether I'm going to stack the whole team full of them, but I think Fabinho, when he came in, was definitely in good form, and he locked down his position in the team. And last one, Joe Gomez. Joe Gomez, you know what? 30 years for a title, Liverpool had to wait there, and that season we won the Premier League. Him and Van Dijk were the centre-back pairing. I mean, for that alone, I feel that gets you in that spot. I mean, if you can sign anyone and win the league, it's money well spent. It's worth it every time. There's another guy kind of in that category who maybe divides a lot of Liverpool fans. I'm looking at Naby Keita here. I think maybe his injuries just kind of let him down, and when he was fit, just couldn't get a consistent run of games. Paid a lot of money for him. He took the number 8 shirt, obviously previously worn by Gerrard. I think there's a lot of expectation on and pressure on him there. Maybe test a lot of patience. I think maybe just in terms of how much we spent, how little game time. He did win a lot of trophies for us. It's between decent signing and he did a job. I'm going to put him just a tier below, decent signing. On his day, he was great. Just couldn't depend on him, and it was just unfortunate there with injuries and whatnot. There's obviously, a combination towards the start of the decade where Liverpool weren't too great. There's a few players here. Klopp signed, who's this, Grujic, didn't really get in the team. Nothing against him. Didn't really pay too much for him. I'm going to say just the fact he got no game time. It's going to be harsh, but waste of time, really. Nothing against him, but I mean, if you can't really get in the team, you're probably in that category. This is probably a bit too early to tell, but Harvey Elliott, still very young. He's looking like a decent signing. He could easily go into the next category up, depending on how his career goes, but certainly got a lot of promise there. Let's start getting through these. Danny Ings, again, another one unfortunate with injuries. I really liked him at the time when he came on. He was such a threat. I think he would have been the perfect player for Liverpool, just very, very unlucky. I'm going to say he did a job. I think there's a few big name strikers here. Andy Carroll might put subpar. I think we get a lot of stick for him. We sold Torres, and then he was the replacement at 35 mil, which was a lot of money back then. Certainly didn't live up to the price tag. And I think another one probably is subpar for Benteke. Did get a few goals there, but only lasted the one season, signed by Rodgers, and then Klopp let him go the following season. Just wasn't the right player for the system. This guy maybe divides Liverpool fans a little bit as well. Dejan Lovren, I'm going to put decent signing. He did go on and win all those same trophies as the other players, but I think was already a bit of a squad player at the time, and he was there before a lot of those other players, and definitely had a few mistakes in him and wasn't really taking Liverpool forward. He was just kind of filling the gap at the time, so I'm going to put him in decent signing. I might just go through a few big names, and then maybe the rest will all just be in subpar, waste of time, especially if I don't know them. Emre Can kind of left to go to Dortmund. He was good on his day, but I think maybe did a job. Who else can I put there as well? Kolo Touré did a job. I think maybe he's got a bit of a stigma to be a bit of a clown or a bit of a character, but I think there's certainly games where, he was quite solid. He was one of the Arsenal Invincibles players, got a lot of experience by the time he got to Liverpool, but maybe a bit over the hill, so came and slotted in at centre-back, and did okay. Another big name here, Karius, someone who made some big mistakes in the Champions League final, the biggest stage there is. Personally, as a Liverpool fan, it was devastating to watch. I'm going to have to put him in waste of time. I think he came in that season, maybe the season before, and never really impressed. He had a good season prior in Germany, but this might be a bit harsh. But for me, I think even after his time at Liverpool, we were always looking for another keeper. Him and Mignolet consistently on rotation. Let me put in Solanke. Oh, it's so rough to say waste of time. I think he came in and scored maybe only 1 or 2 goals for Liverpool. Was looking at a bit of a good prospect, but I might say waste of time. It does seem a bit harsh, but it just didn't quite work out. Ragnar Klavan did a job. Joe Allen maybe did a job. Certainly wasn't fantastic, but in a time where Liverpool were poor, he was just a standard player in that team. Nathaniel Klein, I'm going to say, did a job. Oh, Divock Origi, the man, the myth, the legend. Big cult hero there. I'm going to have to put him in decent signing just because of the big goals he scored. More than happy to sit on the bench. What a player to be able to do that. Every time he came on, he scored crucial goals and we needed him. Obviously, Champions League semi-final against Barca and in their final against Tottenham. You can't really put a price on those goals. Poor Ricky Lambert, waste of time. Sorry, mate, Liverpool fan. But again, just a poor signing. Didn't really do too much at a time where Liverpool weren't that great. Got Balotelli here. waste of time, probably in that same category. I think we signed him the same season as Lambert. Signed him on deadline day, panic buy, didn't work out, all the same issues. Sacco, I'll put subpar. There was a few seasons there where he was in the team. I was gonna say, you know, he did a job, but he was probably subpar doing the job, and maybe he would have been in that category above, but obviously there was that big fallout again with Klopp that maybe a bit of bias. Adrian, you know, he's come in, he's a backup keeper, but, you know, I'm going to put him in subpar. I mean, he did come on and he did win the Super Cup for us against Chelsea in the penalty shootout, but the times he's played, he's really not really impressed. But he was on a free transfer, so in terms of business, I just don't think he's too great, to be honest. Bogdan had a good game against us. We signed him. Wasn't really needed. I'm going to say subpar. Moreno, I think he was quite a liability when he played. Andy Robertson was a huge upgrade. Aspas, subpar. Is that Craig Bellamy? God, some of these pictures are so small. Is that Craig Bellamy? Correct me if that's not Craig Bellamy. I'm going to put him in, did a job. I honestly can't tell if that's Craig Bellamy or not. Jones, Brad Jones. You know, he's third choice keeper. What more do you want from a third choice keeper? You know, he did his job, wasn't really too poor. Never really played, but did a job as the third choice keeper, I guess. Let me just chuck a few more in because I'm gonna have to offload a lot of them in waste of time. Oh, Ox. Yeah. Ox is decent. Big trophies to his name. Mignolet, I'm going to say did a job. Shelby, I thought Shelby was going to be one of those great players, and even still you kind of get that feeling because he seems to have everything in his locker, but I don't know, it just didn't really work out. Still a bit young at the time. Markovic, I'm going to say waste of time. I think we spent big money on him and just did not work out. Maxi, where do I want to put Maxi Rodriguez? He was decent. Yeah, let's put Maxi in, decent signing. Joe Cole, I think the biggest thing is Gerrard talked him up so much when we signed him that compared him to Messi, which was a big mistake. Yeah, a lot of pressure on his shoulder there, and obviously he's nowhere near as good as Messi. Did a job. I think, again, injuries can affect these guys. Stuart Downing, probably a bit of a flop. Spent big money on him. 20 million at the time, which was a lot of money, maybe 15. Yeah, subpar. What else do I want? Charlie Adam. Subpar. Didn't really rate him, to be honest. Cool, we got Vandenberg here. Hasn't really got too much game time behind him. Maybe one for the future. Not really seen him much in the first team. This might seem a bit harsh, but just waste of time. I mean, yeah, we probably need to see a bit more from him. Barini, subpar. Enrique. I remember him running down his contract because he couldn't get in the team. I don't know, he was kind of like the left-footed side of Klein. Let's say did a job. That's generous. I think all the rest of these guys, so Morales, Quates, someone with their head cut off, goalkeeper. The rest I'm just chucking in waste of time. To be honest, some of these faces I don't recognise 100%. You might have to chuck in the comments if you know any of these guys. But certainly, maybe their picture doesn't do them any favours or whatnot, but might have to leave it like that. I guess maybe a bit of recency bias there. Brilliant business. I've obviously gone for a lot of the current to recent players. Obviously taking into account, as mentioned, if we got some for free, I think that's brilliant business, even if they didn't amount to too much. Decent signing. I've been a bit harsh to a few. I might just have to leave it there. Chuck in the comments if you agree with what I've done there. Maybe someone needs to be higher, someone needs to be lower. If there's a photo there of someone I've got mixed up, let me know. I'll give it a read and maybe correct it another time. But yeah, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Still trying to build up the subscriber base there, get a few numbers on the board. But yeah, otherwise, I've been Ant, this has been Red Mate. Thanks for watching, we'll see you in the next one.